Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Today's video was made possible by the people at Thorfire. They've provided me with this flashlight for review, and I'd just like to say thank you for sending this along. This review is on the TG06S AA EDC flashlight from Thorfire. Now, in a prior video, I took a look at the PF01S AAA flashlight from Thorfire. Now, unfortunately, at that time, I found that there were some significant problems with not only the product, but also the packaging. A little bit of lack of detail and just not paying close enough attention to the overall details and quality of the product caught me a little bit by surprise, and it was very unfortunate. But at this point in time, Thorfire did reach out to me, and they're looking to kind of get things with me back on track here, and so they've provided me with this AA flashlight to take a quick review, and so I thought I'd look at it today, give you a first impressions and overall quality review of this product. Now, first and foremost, this came in this cardboard box. This is the almost identical same packaging that I found on the PF01S. So basically the exact same type of cardboard box, very similar. They have a little photograph of the actual flashlight that's in the package right here on the box. And in this particular case, this is labeled as the TG06S flashlight. And then on the side of the box here, also TG06S flashlight. One of the problems that I found in the prior review is that they actually got the name incorrect on the box. This is the PF01S flashlight, and right on the box it was the PF10S as they had it labeled. And the other problem they had, it was also made in China. So right off the get-go, as I take a look at this thing, I'm looking for those same inconsistencies. It appears as though this is in perfectly good shape here. The name on the package is correct, and also it is appropriately labeled and spelled correctly. So first things first is right off the get-go, packaging looks like it's in pretty good shape. Now, opening up the package, inside we have the flashlight and a little bubble wrap, some spare O-rings, and the user's manual. Now, inside the user's manual, this does talk about the different run times and outputs. So in this particular case, this is talking about a 500 lumen high output using a 14500 lithium battery, and for a standard AA battery 150 lumens. So that is going to make a difference here. It is definitely important to use the 14500 lithium battery if you want to get the maximum output on this flashlight. Now, as I was mentioning, this TG06S can use either a standard AA battery or a 14500 lithium battery. So to me, that's pretty good advantage. I like the idea that it is interchangeable, but it is very interesting to find out that there are different run times and lumen outputs associated with this. Now, as I had mentioned, there is a difference between the output of the 14500 lithium battery and the standard AA battery. Not only is there a difference in the lumens, but you also have a difference in the runtime. Now, I think that's kind of interesting. If you look at the runtime for the 14500, you'll see it is only a 35-minute runtime, whereas the AA is a 55-minute runtime. Now, I don't know if that's because the 14500 is putting out so many more lumens, but I would also think that the lithium battery, being more powerful, would also have potentially a longer runtime, but I guess that is not necessarily the case. You know, I'm not very familiar with these 14500 batteries. This is really my first time getting a hand on one. I've had other lithium batteries for other flashlights, but this is my first time with a 14500. So in that regard, I'm just kind of learning about this stuff. Now, if you move on down the mid, you'll see that there's a difference between a 200 lumen output and an 80 lumen output. Low is a 50 lumen versus 20 lumen, and Moonlight is a 1 lumen versus 0.5 lumen output when you compare the 14500 against the AA. When you get into the strobe, you'll see you get back to that 500 lumen output with the 14500 lithium battery, and that is significantly greater than the 150 lumen output that you have on that standard AA. So you definitely, I think this is an interesting point where if you want more lumen output, you could certainly go with the 14500, but if you really want a flashlight to increase its overall runtime, you have the AA option as well. I really like the idea that you can use both the 14500 lithium battery and the AA. It gives you a lot of options, so this makes it great for EDC. It also makes it a really good emergency backup flashlight, and also a really great choice if you want to bring it camping or backpacking or something like that, where you just want to use the standard batteries. It's reasonably small, fits in your pocket, and does not have a lot of weight to it. And to have the versatility of using standard AA's in that situation is definitely a plus. So at this point, let's get into some of the features. Obviously here you see is the Thorfire TG06S. Now this is a reasonably small flashlight, and you can see here as it fits in the palm of my hand. It is just a little bit longer than really one of my fingers, so you'll see my pointer finger or my middle finger there. It's just a little bit longer and pretty close to a similar diameter, so that'll just give you an idea of the overall size and scale of the flashlight. Now here you see it next to the batteries. This is a single AA flashlight, or the 14500, so in that regard you can kind of see how much of this is going to be consumed by the battery. So the battery is taking up pretty much the entire body section and leaves you just shy with the head and a little bit of the tail cap left at the back side. Now getting into some of the details here, you'll see that there is a machined diamond pattern on the main body and also tail cap sections of the flashlight. Now here you'll see the machined diamond pattern on the main body of the flashlight, as well as on some of the tail cap section. The remainder of the flashlight is a smooth anodized aluminum, stainless pocket clip, and a nice smooth reflector. Now this flashlight does utilize an XP G2 R5 LED. Has a nice tail cap on the back of the flashlight. It is recessed, so if you wanted to, you can tail stand the flashlight. The head of the flashlight does have an anti-roll bezel around the outside, and overall the flashlight has a nice quality and solid feel. Unscrewing the tail cap, exposing the threads, you can also remove the head of the flashlight. Now one of the things that I like to do with a flashlight of this size, to reverse the pocket clip, instead of popping off the clip, I do like to just simply reverse the body, and in that regard you can thread the head and the tail back on, essentially reversing the pocket clip. That's a pretty nice feature. I like the fact that you don't necessarily have to go cranking this clip off. I find that when you do that, you automatically end up with a little bit of damage, some scratching and some marring of the overall surface. So to be able to flip the tail cap and head like that and reverse the pocket clip is pretty nice. Now in that regard, you can tell that the company never expected anybody to necessarily flip the head and tail cap around on the body like that, because on the head of the flashlight you'll notice they have that recessed section where they anticipated the clip would have gone. So now that I flipped it around, you end up with kind of like these two grooves, one after another. That's because, like I said, the second groove is actually part of the head, and so when it was originally on the other side of the flashlight, that's where you would have installed that clip. But since I flipped it around, basically you end up with two of these grooves in a row. So maybe on a future version or on any other flashlights, Thorfire can take into consideration the fact that you can really just reverse the body, and that does what you need to flip around the clip, and therefore they could make a better placement of these actual grooves. Now real quick, we're going to get into the batteries just to show you a difference in the size of these. You'll see here, if I line up the top section of the AA versus the 14500, the 14500 battery is a little bit longer. And then in terms of the girth, now they should be just about identical, but you do have a little bit of a different length. Now I'll line up the bottom just to show you that again. So lining up the bottom, you can see the difference in the length of those batteries. But this flashlight is capable of accommodating either one, so that is pretty sweet. I'm going to start running some tests on this to show you the different outputs with the two batteries and to give you an understanding of kind of what this flashlight's beam pattern will look like. Now for this portion of the video, I have put my camera on the fully manual mode so that it won't change exposure. Here you can see the 14500 lithium battery. This is on the highest mode. Here you have medium, low, moonlight, high, medium, low, moonlight. Turning the flashlight on and double pressing real fast, you get the strobe. Now it's not a full press, it's a momentary press. Turning it off and back on, you're back to normal operation. Now running this the exact same way with the standard AA battery. This is the high mode. This is medium. This is low. This is moonlight. Again, high, medium, low, and moonlight. This is off. Turning on and double pressing puts it into the strobe mode. And again, another click, and you're back into normal operation. So as you look here, this is the medium mode on this Thorfire. And for whatever reason, it is flickering on camera. Now my eyes themselves don't really see that flicker, but you can obviously see it on the camera. Now in comparison, if I turn on this stream light, you will see that the stream light is very steady. It does not have the same sort of strobe phenomenon that this Thorfire has. Now I'm not sure why, but if you go through the modes, you can see low and even moonlight have a flicker. The high mode you really can't notice. Now that's pretty much the same output as this streamlight. You can see the Thorfire has a little bit of a bigger beam, but it is about the same lumen output. And as I start to go lower, it gets that flicker. So it is a strange thing. I'm not too sure what's going on here. And it happened with obviously both the 14500 lithium battery and the standard AA. Now getting this flashlight outside, as soon as you press it the first time, it goes right to the high mode. Now it is kind of rainy, so I'm going to keep it a little bit quick, but you can see here on the high mode as I illuminate my fire pit area. So a pretty nice beam, reasonably hot in the middle. Now this does have a nice smooth reflector, so it's going to tend to be more of a throw than it is going to be a flood. So you can see that nice tight hot spot in the middle. And as I go here from the high mode to the medium to the low, which you can barely see, you can kind of see it on the fence there. And then moonlight, basically you're not going to be able to see, and you can see a tiny little bit maybe potentially flashing on the fence there. But anyway, it is really that high mode that's going to do the work. Now this is the standard AA battery. Let me change it out real quick and show you it with the lithium 14500. Now just for a comparison's sake, I'll do a sweep here with the standard AA. And now a sweep with that 14500. Now with this 14500, you can see a significant increase in the lumen output. You're really able to start to see some detail on what's going on down there. I mean, at this point I can clearly identify my fire pit and the little trees and shrubs around it and the kind of patio area beneath it. The fence is a nice bright white. You can see a nice tight hot spot and a little bit of flood to the side. Obviously you can see that the flood does seem to go a little bit wider and brighter with this lithium battery. And now just real quick, going through the different modes, you have your high, even the medium is pretty reasonable. Your low, and that moonlight mode, which is still very low, just the tiniest bit you can see, really only illuminating on that fence line because it is white, but other than that, not giving you too much in the way of any usable light. Now back to that high mode, and you can see just that weird phenomenon on camera where when you go to that medium mode, it has that little bit of flicker. Now a subtle detail worth noting is that when you turn off the flashlight, it does have a nice illuminated glowing bezel. It's just a little detail. I mean, it's not like a major thing, but it's just kind of cool. I mean, I think a little attention to detail and little details like that is always a bonus and a good thing. Well, so alright, there you have it. A quick look at the Thorfire TG06S LED flashlight. For me, this is a pretty nice little light overall. I mean, there's that weird flicker issue on camera. It doesn't seem to bother my eyes at all, so can I really hold it against this? I don't know. I mean, I like the features, I like the overall size, I like the comfort. I like this tail switch. It works very well, and I really do enjoy that like real soft momentary press that you get out of it. So, I mean, it seems to work pretty good for me. You know, I like the fact that you can just flip that body over and rotate the tail cap, the flexibility between the standard AA batteries and that 14500 lithium battery. I mean, for me, I really think this is going to become my new backpacking flashlight. The run times are a little bit low overall, but if I just bring myself a backup battery, I should be all set, maybe even two. And you know what? That's still a pretty nice little package. I always tend to have a couple of batteries with me no matter what, so it's really not going to bother me. And in that regard, I definitely find that I have an overall use for this flashlight. So now just to wrap things up, first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you again to the people at Thorfire for providing this product for me to review. It is definitely a nice little flashlight. You know, I had a little bit of a rough time with the last review, and I appreciate you reaching out to me again and trying to get things going in the right direction. So this was definitely a very positive experience. I think overall the quality on this flashlight is there. I think it's a nice size, it's a good price point, and definitely something that if you're interested in a flashlight of this size, I would say that I would recommend it. So if you are interested in this flashlight, the people at Thorfire have been very generous and are offering you a discount coupon. So take a look at the link in the description and get yourself one if you are interested in a light just like this. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.